Because I look at people and I was like, you were dumb enough to do it. Deal with it.
Facebook is drama. It's high school drama. It really is. How many pastors have gotten in trouble because of Facebook?
Yeah. Right.
How many marriages got in trouble with Facebook?
Right.
I don't do Facebook.
I was helping with the youth one day. I looked around, I thought, my pacemaker's older than every kid in here. You know? Yeah.
I think a lot of Americans, even, dare I say, American Christians, I say that loosely, will sell their souls to maintain a lifestyle if it comes down to that. And that, I think, is very dangerous.
One of the things that Verna and I have done over the years when we find ourselves in difficult situations is that we will go through the litany of the various times that God has helped us. And we express those out loud to each other, and they serve as a reminder to us that God was through us in this situation, and this situation, and this situation. What makes us think he's not going to be with us in this one as well?
The next week after that first state championship game, they joined the church. And their words were this: you cared enough to drive 6 hours for a kid that's not yours. That tells me something.
Hi, I'm Chris McNeil, and this is Ministry on the Move, a podcast interviewing pastors and ministers across the USA. As the father of the McNeils, I get to travel across the country singing the gospel, and one day it occurred to me that you all need to know each other. You are a part of the extended McNeil family and the body of Christ. Join me on a journey to churches of all shapes and sizes, different parts of the country, and see just what it takes to shepherd the body of Christ. For more information on the McNeils, you can visit us at mcneilmusic.tv or mcneilmusic.com. Thanks for joining us, and here's the episode. Hey y'all, this is Chris. It is so good to be back with you. We are entering the last few weeks of season 2, and I am trying to get us on the road for tomorrow. We have spent a very relaxing summer getting to know grandbaby number 2, and but that's all about to change tomorrow. We're heading up to Indiana and Michigan, and so I'm going to keep this short. Chad Daniel is one of my favorite people in the world, and we have gotten to know him and his wife, Darla, over the years. I think we met in 2018. And they've become more than just friends from the road. They've become dear friends. And so this is a 2-part series with Chad. And this takes an interesting wander. I hope that you'll hear this with the heart that it was discussed. And this is a good talk about, well, you'll know. You'll get it. It's here. Thank you so much for listening. And here's the episode. Hey, y'all. This is Chris McNeil, Ministry on the Move. The McNeils find ourselves today in Missouri, El Dorado Springs, Missouri. And Chad and Darla Daniel have become really dear friends of ours. It's almost like we have to put something on the books in order for our families to get together, unless you guys come down to Texas. So good to be back with you guys. We're singing tonight. So we were here 3 times. Were we here twice or 3 times last year?
Twice, I think. I think it was just twice.
Is that right? And then once you guys came to Texas?
Yes.
You came there for the release party.
Yeah, we were down in October for,
Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Well, so that's like my quote. I only get out of state like once every 10 years.
We, and you followed us to Dollywood one year.
Yeah,
and we changed your brakes.
Yeah, we
opened up pads.
We opened up a brake shop at the campground.
At the campground.
Yeah.
That was fun. You guys had just gotten a new car.
Yeah, we'd had it like 2 weeks.
When did we first meet? 2017? It was pre-COVID.
18.
18?
Yeah. Y'all were here in July of 18. That was the first. Off of a cold call email.
Right.
Kaylee sent out.
But you had seen the Silo series.
Yes, but
Even though you didn't put the two together.
I didn't put it together, though. Yeah, I've been listening to y'all sing What a Friend We Have in Jesus in the Silo for like 3 months. And I'm like, man, what a great family, right? Good harmony, and I like the Silo thing. And yeah, and then I get this email from Kaylee. Hey, we're coming through. Could we? So I checked out a few other songs online. Mm-hmm. That one never came up, right?
Oh, interesting. Huh.
And I don't remember now what y'all were singing that I listened to. And they're like, okay, yeah, let's have them in. And so it was like, I'm not sure if I put that together before you got here or if it was after you'd been here.
Yeah, I was thinking for some reason that it was like the second time that we came back that
I think maybe so.
You put the pieces together and told us about it.
I finally found on your website, right? Silo series. I'm like, well, that's weird. What is that? Clicked on it. I'm like, wow.
Huh. That's them.
I know this one. Yep.
That was the craziest thing because, I mean, I have not gone out and looked to see if anybody else has listened to it in the last, 7 years. But when we first put it out there, I told Michelle, you're wasting your time. Nobody wants to hear us singing in a silo. And the last time I checked, we had put it out in two places. Some guy had put it on Facebook, and we had it on Facebook and YouTube. So I guess it's 3 places. But it was a Church of Christ guy. And when I last totaled the 3 of them together, it was over 9 million views between the 3 videos that and there's other places that picked it up. It was insane. I had no idea what people saw in it. I still really don't understand. I mean, I get the idea. It's a great hymn, and it was a cool visual, and it was and the reverb in the silo made for that was pretty special, I guess.
9 million. Right?
9 million views, yeah, and that again that was pre-COVID.
So probably both of my friends have heard it then.
Maybe.
But there's a good chance.
I mean, there's a 2 in 9 million.
There is.
Or I guess there's more people on the earth than that. That's probably a bad statistic, but
87.63. Yeah.
Finish it. Go ahead.
87.63% of all statistics are made up on the spot anyway. So.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to.
Maybe it was 85 point.
This is for the uninitiated.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to have a silo here next time, by the way.
Will you really? How are you going to get the congregation in there?
It's a small church.
I think we talked about this last time, the fact that this church used to be a... did we talk about that?
I don't remember. I've slept once since.
I know, yeah. I don't know if we did, but this church used to be a country club.
Yeah.
And
pro shop for the golf course, and then it was kind of a bar and grill restaurant. And,
right.
Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, it's still the same footprint, but obviously you guys have turned it upside down. The purpose, what the world meant for.
I think maybe we did talk about that because we talked about the building kind of being redeemed and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go down that.
But that's in my brain, but I don't know if that's.
I think you may be right.
Yeah.
I should have listened to the podcast before.
We've talked about a lot of things that weren't recorded, so I'd not.
That's a very true statement. If there's anybody that I've gone down rabbit holes with, it's Chad Daniel. So tell me about the church. The last time we were here, you were kind of having, I think we talked about growth, not problems, but growth opportunities. We had 13.
Well, good problems, if you want to look at them that way.
Yeah. Still going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Amazingly,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to keep up.
And it seems like, I don't remember if we talked about this on the air or off the air, that there you've got three choices, right? To either split the services in half, you turn people away, or you build.
Make more room.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys talking through that at this point?
It's on the fringe of the conversations.
Mm.
Still don't feel like an urgency, like we've got to do something right away. But it's on the radar.
So do you think you've got enough room at this point? I mean, it's been a while since I saw you on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, if everybody shows up on the same day, it'd be pretty crowded.
It holds what, 200?
Yeah, we've got 212 chairs. There's the statistic we just made up. Yeah.
And I think it used to be that the statistic was when you hit 80%, you were full.
Mm-hmm.
But I think since COVID,
It's like in the 60s or something.
It's between 50 and 60%.
Yeah,
Because we want more space.
we're pushing past that. Yeah.
And you guys are well pushing past that.
Yeah.
So,
We could hold 200 in the McNeils. Yeah.
almost.
Almost.
Yeah, there's more than 12 of us now.
That's true. Yeah.
When the grandbabies, and Grayson will be here in a month.
Yeah.
So
Carter didn't take up a lot of space, though.
no, he doesn't. But we still need to he still needs a chair most of the time, and it's only going to get worse. So why? Okay, I know that the Lord sends the people. I know that you didn't. This isn't about Chad. I get all that. Can you point to anything though that for why people are coming? Is it their perceived needs are being met? There's free handouts. We're going to talk about your grocery store too.
Oh yeah.
But start with why do you think people are showing up here, and not the one down the street?
I think some of them are showing up down the street too.
Hmm.
It's this isn't just our particular problem. I mean, we're seeing growth. We talk about this, and we may have talked about this before, right? COVID was like this winnowing event, right? And there were a lot of churches in our area, and there are a lot of churches in our area,
Right.
right? We're a town of less than 4,000. I think there's 12,000 maybe in the county. You could say 14 within a reasonable driving distance.
Okay.
At one time, we had 27 churches, I think, with an El Dorado address.
Has that gone up or down?
It's gone down.
Okay.
We have had a church plant that has come in, and they're doing well. We've got another church in town that is building a new building currently. I'll talk to some of the other pastors. They're experiencing some growth, but we have had some that have really suffered, over the past 4 or 5 years.
Churches
Yes.
close their doors or just contracted significantly.
Yeah, it's contracted. So it's been an amazing thing to just kind of watch how God is, I guess, rearranging His church. There's some that just left, right? They went home and didn't come back.
Right.
But it seems like, and I don't know if it's a generational thing, right? You could talk about what's going on socially or culturally or any of that, but there is a younger generation, and I'm to the age now where I can say there's
You're an old man anymore.
a lot of younger generation.
You're 53?
52 and a half.
Yeah, okay. Scaring
Yeah.
it to death.
Yeah, I'm bringing back. What is it with kids, right? They want to make sure that they're halfway to the next. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Because they really want to be older than
Are
they
you 9?
are.
No, I'm 9 and a half.
Right, yeah. You missed
I'm
it.
bringing that back.
Yeah.
So I'm 52 and a half. Here in a couple months, I'll be 52 and 3/4. What was the question? Yeah. I see a lot of younger people that are hungry.
Right.
They're looking for
So,
answers, but,
yeah.
but that translates into they're looking for the answer, right?
Well, absolutely. So do you see, it sounds like on a positive note, I think what you're saying is they're not, some statistic that I heard recently said that the fastest growing religion in America was Wicca or neo-paganism. But you're saying that they're actually coming to maybe a more traditional understanding here in where are we? Western Missouri.
Yeah, our bubble.
Yeah, right, sure.
I mean, you can argue what part of the Bible Belt we are.
Exactly.
I don't know if we're really the buckle or the.
No, the buckle's down in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
Seriously,
you got to claim that, right?
well, the county to my understanding, I don't know this, but I'd been told once by somebody that the county to the south of where we live has more churches per person than any other county in the United States. That's what I'd heard. I don't know if that's right, but I've always considered it to be the
Get on the
hot spot.
Yeah, the interwebs would tell you.
I'm sure. Yeah, it'll tell you
Source
anything
of
you
all
want.
truth, right?
Right.
That's-
But we're in rural Missouri, and
yeah.
we're not anywhere near St. Louis.
No, we're
Joplin's a couple hour and a half away, right?
yeah, we're kind of a geographical oddity, right? We're 2 weeks from everywhere. We're 2 hours from most of the major bigger cities.
Right.
A couple hours from Springfield, a couple hours from, depending on how quick you want to get there.
I don't
right?
mind that.
Kansas City, Joplin, we're kind of in that Bermuda Triangle of that. St. Louis is 4 hours away. So we're definitely, when you say it's rural Missouri, it feels rural, right?
Well, it does, especially when Bruno points this way. When we get out here and we show up at 11 midnight, whatever, time that we roll in. I mean, there's no lights, there's no traffic for the last, 30, 40 minutes of the trip. It's dark and there's nobody. We don't pass cars.
It's because you weren't on any major roads.
Right. Well, I mean, there aren't any major roads to be on. Right. So let's. Wow, we're going down the hole. Let's back up just a little bit. You're saying that the people that are coming here are probably looking for a more traditional response, and that sort of makes sense. This is something of an Amish and Mennonite community as well.
Has become that, yes.
And is that where many of them are they coming out of the more, I'll say, law-abiding traditions?
Some are, for sure. But then there's, I don't know, it's an interesting mix, and I don't think I've really put my finger on it yet. I do feel like, we work through Scripture expositionally, right? If on a good day, we'll usually cover a couple of verses, right? So we've been in Romans since January of last year.
And you're in chapter 7 now?
We're in 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blistering pace, right? I think that's been, I know it's been beneficial to me, but I've seen a spiritual depth that is coming from that within the church body.
So talk about what it's like to have people coming out of what, at least, okay, so I'm going to just place my cards on the table. From my perspective, it seems that the Anabaptists have somewhat become pharisaical in the traditions that they've got, the rules of the order, the ordnung. I don't mean that to be, I don't say that as a harm. I don't want it to be harmful or hurtful, but I do see it as a real thing, that they're very concerned about the rules. They've got 500 years worth of rules, literally, that have been stacked up and placed upon them. And I've had people within the Amish community, when I asked, what would it take for me to become Amish? She looked at me and she said, oh, honey, you could never do that. Too many rules.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they even admit, at least some of them, she was old order. I don't.
So the 613 of first century Judaism that's nothing.
Pales in comparison to what we've got going on here, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Have I characterized them fairly?
Now I'm on the outside looking in too,
Sure.
and so it's easy to armchair quarterback and
Right.
try and
But you're also talking to the people who are coming out of the movement and trying to find the real gospel because they don't think that they got it. Is that?
yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's not to say that those that are still in those traditions
right.
don't know Christ, they don't know the gospel. That's not true.
That's not for us to judge. I understand.
But I do think, okay, this is speculation, opinion, right? This is me talking. This is not thus saith the Lord in any way.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. This is not ex cathedra.
That'll be tomorrow, right?
We have a new pope.
Yeah,
this, this week.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. What was I saying? Yeah, it's early, right?
It is. It is
Coffee's
early.
still working on me. I think it feels to me like there's a basic misunderstanding of grace.
In the Anabaptist tradition.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't understand fully, and I don't either, right? I can't say I've arrived. I just thank God that I've left, right? Mm-hmm. It's finding your identity in Christ and understanding that it's not what we do. We can't do it.
Right.
That's the point, right? That was
The
the
whole
point. The point of the law. I mean, that's why Paul got in trouble, because he's trying to explain that, and they're like, no, you're trying to get rid of the law. He said, no, the law is good. The law has informed me of my sin.
Of how short I come. Yep.
And that I can't do it. And so it points to Christ. I'm not sure if they fully, I'm not sure that their rules are pointing to Christ in that way, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, they're more interested. Well, so it feels like to me, and again, this is an outside conversation, but it feels like to me that what's at stake here is being Amish or being Mennonite or being, I guess, do you have brethren churches up here? They're part of the Anabaptist
Not that
movement.
I'm aware of. I mean, we have a lot of Amish communities. There's two different communities here, and then there are several old order Mennonites, and then there's kind of the newer older Mennonites. We have both.
Right. So within those two contexts, it feels to me, and I'm looking for your reaction, it feels to me that they're not interested. The rules are not designed to make you a follower of Christ. The rules are designed to separate you from the other Mennonite tradition or the other Anabaptist. What makes us unique? Because so many and so many of their denominations have split over the rules, if I understand it correctly.
And really, at the end of the day, doesn't it come down to that? It's a denominational thing.
Right.
I mean, we have that within the evangelical church, too.
Yeah. Yep. Methodists have gone through it. The Baptists have certainly gone through it. There's all kinds of.
I mean, every group, every denomination that you go to, in some way, is going to be, we're doing it right.
Yeah.
You know.
No. Even the non-denoms, even the Catholics, right? That's one of the things that is always lurking over our shoulder is that we've got this figured out, and here are our pet doctrines that I have a friend, his name's Russell Davis. I'd love for him to listen to this at some point. But he used to, when we were part of the home church, he would say that a church is a body of people united around like sins.
Wow. Comforting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I think he was tongue in cheek, but there's some truth to it.
There is.
We have our take on the gospel, and this is what separates us from you. And so talk about what it's like to have somebody that is so. This is radically different, though. Let me just paint the picture just a little bit. In those traditions, you may not have electricity. In the Anabaptist traditions, you may there. I read a book called "The Secret of Their Strength" that compared the 1500 version, the 1500s of the Anabaptist movement to today. And the things that have separated them are whether or not chainsaws are okay, or pretty buttons are okay in women's dresses. What kinds of hats the men can wear, how long your beard can be, and whether or not your children can have a beard, your sons can have a beard before they're married or after they're married. They have divided over whether or not you can have a drain in the bathtub, steel wheels on your tractor or rubber, whether or not you can use batteries, whether or not you can use propane in your home. these are things that
Placement of the hair bun, right? If it's if it's too low or too many inches showing on your apron.
Whether or not you can have whether they have to be natural colors on your girls' dresses, or you can have spring
tassels on the head or no tassels.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, these are radically different than the color of the carpet thing that we love to pick on, or whether or not neckties are evil.
That's a pretty heated discussion, though.
Whether or not neckties are, I think that one's pretty much settled. I think we got that one. They're evil.
Well, in our denomination, right? Yeah.
So talk about what it's like for someone to come out of such a restrictive movement and walk into your church and sit down on a Sunday morning, and you look at them with kindness, right? With love, and realizing this isn't the first family that's come this way and that's been under such restrictions. How do you engage them and show them that God's not really concerned? So here's the example that I got tripped up on myself. I mean, this was me when we were in the home church movement. It probably should be on Saturday, because that's when the Jews or Sabbath should be on Saturday. And a very dear friend of mine was very wise, I think, in pointing out, Chris, that's a red herring. This isn't about which day of the week. This is about rest. This is about 1 in 7. Look at the pattern, not the day. You can't prove to me that Sunday is the 7th day. Why don't even, let's start with the fact that it's named after a Roman deity. Before we worry about which day of the week it is, right? So these people have come and they're so tripped up on the how-to that they're missing maybe the bigger picture, and you see them and do what?
Well, that legalism is, it goes deep.
Right, yeah.
It is difficult, very difficult to break free of that. But we do it too. We search for the rules. We just say, our rules aren't as restrictive. Okay.
I'm gonna push the point a little bit.
I thought you might.
So I think, though, that there is a difference between, I hate to use the term us and them, but this is a cultural thing for them. And it's embedded, and it's deep, and it's long-standing. The ones that we look at vary from church to church, and maybe even within a specific church. Well, that's okay for you, brother, but I'm going to do it this way. They're under guilt, I think. They get shunned. We don't.
That's what I'm going to say. They've got, immediate family relationships are at stake.
They're severed if they go too far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about the compassion that you as a pastor need, or you as a church need, to welcome those people in, and how do you walk them through? Because it's got to take more than just one argument about when, it's 1 in 7 as opposed to.
Or you can't just
Saturday.
read Paul that says, hey, ignore the traditions. It's not about the festivals. It's not about the rites and rituals.
Right.
Right.
And they go, oh, okay, thank you very much.
It's not about the circumcision, right? We always want to talk about that every chance we get, right?
Absolutely.
It's a heart issue. And that's what Jesus was talking about the whole time, right? You're missing the point, guys. Right? You tithe the mint and the dill
and the cumin, right?
But
you forget the weightier matters of the law.
Yeah, you're missing it. And it's easy for all of us to do that. And sometimes we can sit back when we weren't raised in such a strict, rule-oriented environment, and just kind of shake our head like, well, that's ridiculous, or that's silly, or how could you even think that was going to be beneficial or
helpful in any way?
Yeah. But when you're raised in that,
it's all you know.
It's all you've known. And so really you approach them the same way you do anybody that walks in the door.
Okay.
We don't have a reserve section just for those that are coming out of, right?
Are you pre or post Amish?
Yes. This is your seating. We'll have,
Sure.
No, it's just welcome to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll help you walk through this, and you can gain understanding as we are gaining understanding, because we don't have it all figured out yet.
Right. Sure.
Nobody's got this thing 100%. And so it is pretty amazing to see, like, when they start to understand what grace really means.
Mm.
And that's an encouragement to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so, it sounds silly to say, but I think maybe you understand. We can so easily take that for granted. Grace.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And they don't.
We trod on grace because we don't wake up. I'll put this in the first person. I don't contemplate it enough, and I rely on it too heavily, and I think it probably cheapens it because you don't realize. I don't know who I was talking to, and maybe, and forgive me all if I put this on the podcast before, but I was thinking about. It may have been last week with Justin. We were talking about Cain and Abel, and how, when Adam and Eve sinned, that they tried. I think it was Justin. I'm pretty sure that it was. So forgive me if I'm doubling down on this on the podcast. But this was a big aha moment for me. That the boy, so the Lord had to slaughter an animal. Justin pointed out. He says, "Where are you?" And Adam says, "Oh, I hid because I was naked." And Justin pointed out, no, they weren't. They'd sewn themselves fig leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of a. But we've got this whole issue of clothing now, right? There's a nakedness, and Adam realizes it, and so they do what they think is right, and that doesn't cover it. And in order to forgive, for the sin to be remitted, even though there's penalties, the Lord had to be blood shed.
That's the first death in
Exactly.
Genesis. Yeah.
Right. And so then when you get to Cain and Abel, you basically, so I think that the boys grew up because they weren't alive at that time, right? Eve didn't conceive until after chapter 3, or at least after the curse of the curse put on mankind, and the boys had to have grown up hearing what God did and what it took to appease the Lord, right? Without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sin, Hebrews tells us. But then when they go and reenact, Abel gets it right. He goes and sheds blood, but Cain is back to the fig leaf. He's pulling things out of the ground and going, is this good enough? Which is what his parents did at the first pass. That I had totally missed the parallel between Cain and Abel and what Adam and Eve did versus what God had to do. And of course, anybody listening to this should know, I know you know, that for my money, it was a lamb that God slaughtered, but everything about it pointed to Christ's sacrifice that was coming. This became a picture, a very detailed picture, and it became a prototype of all the sacrifices that were going to go on between Adam and Eve, and when Jesus finally winds up on the cross. So this whole picture of grace is somehow lost on me, it would seem, that I get up and I want to do the fig leaves again. I want to, here's some fruit, Lord. Is that good enough? Mm-hmm. Instead of realizing, no, it took blood. And you're cheapening the cross when you say, here's some fig leaves. Here's a couple of peaches or whatever. We don't understand grace enough. I don't understand grace enough. And I suspect that as people, boy, I'm talking and I shouldn't be. I need you to riff. they're coming through thinking that the law is good enough, and you've got to demonstrate that that's the whole problem of the Old Testament, right?
That's the problem with humanity. We're hardwired into this like reward system. If I do good, I get the reward. If I do bad, I get the punishment.
Right.
And so for us to come across the truth that even what we do is not good enough, but it is good enough because Jesus made up. He filled in the gaps, right? He made up for what we couldn't do. But then we still have this embedded deal. Okay, I've received salvation. I've been redeemed. I've got the heart of flesh, and my spirit's redeemed. And now what? Okay, Lord, well, give me the punch list now. Right? What do I need to do? So it's no longer the question that everybody in the New Testament asked, what must I do to be saved? I mean, that's what they asked Peter. That's basically what the rich young ruler asked Jesus. Okay, so what's it going to take? What do I have to do? So Jesus started with the law with him because that was his understanding. Right? Well, you know the law. Honor your parents and right, don't murder, all these things.
All these things I've done since I was a youth.
And the kid's like, a kid, right? I'm saying kid. He was probably
30, 40?
50, right?
Yeah. 50 and a half.
Yeah, 52 and a half. He said, yeah, I've been doing that since I was a kid. Got it. Here's my resume, right? I've got them all checked off.
Yep.
So if he thought in his mind that he was already doing it all, why did he ask Jesus in the first place what he needed to do?
Well, the Bible says wanting to justify himself.
Yeah, he was wanting to show off a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was wanting confirmation, right? I'm going to tell you what I've done, and you're going to tell me that was good enough.
Yep. I need your approval for some reason.
And it wasn't about the money, it was about his heart. Totally.
Right.
So I find that's where I land all the time. And I know it's not about the money because I don't have any. So it's a heart issue.
We're
right?
both part of the cashless society.
We are, right?
Ain't got none.
Been looking for it. Yeah, don't know where it is. It does come down to that. Because it's easy for us to say, okay, well, I've done that, I've done that. But we really haven't. We haven't fulfilled it the way we think we have or the way we want to have done it. But we still have this desire to do things, right? To check them off the list. It's like when people say they've got an issue, and I might ask them where they're at in their prayer life or where they're at in reading the Word, and, well, I don't pray as much as I should. Okay. Or I don't pray enough. That's usually, okay, well, how much is enough? I mean, on your list of to-do things, right, is 10 minutes enough? Does that satisfy us? Can we check that off? And okay, well, I've got that one covered for today.
Pretty sure Paul says that we should pray without ceasing.
There's something about that, yeah. Without ceasing. So we're just hardwired into this, what's it going to take? What do I have to do? And we carry around this guilt that I haven't done enough. That's the point. You haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. We can't do enough. That's why Jesus stepped in and did it for us. And so it's that understanding of grace that I think those coming out of strict legalism understand it a little better than we do, maybe.
Perhaps.
Or maybe appreciate it more.
Yeah, I think that's well said. So that, which brings up a really interesting question. So then, to be clear, this congregation is not entirely made up of former Anabaptists.
Oh, not at all.
At all, right? And so I'm curious.
That's a smaller percentage, really.
Right. Yeah. So then I'm curious, what kind of an effect does that have on those who have not come out of the body of legalism?
Clarify. What does what affect?
So when they see an Anabaptist, a Mennonite, an Amish person sort of jettison the rules,
Gotcha. Okay.
and they really do embrace grace for what it biblically is supposed to be, not living under the law, but living under the law of Christ, the law of love. I've got to think, if I'm sitting in here and I watch that person really finally understand what grace is, because the tension in their life is so palpable.
It clarifies our understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. What does that do for those that are sitting around watching it and realizing? We even struggle with that, those of us that did not grow up under a legalistic environment. Or no, let me rephrase that. I grew up under a legalistic environment. It just wasn't as legalistic as the Anabaptist movement. I still sometimes go, I should be doing more. But I don't have an Amish person in my life to say, wow, brother, that's bondage. I remember when I was there. Let me help you. Does that happen? What does that do to the church that's not Anabaptist?
Well, I think it strengthens all of our understanding, right? It's rising tide raises all ships, right? So I think that improves at least our chances, our opportunities for spiritual growth, for a deeper understanding. So I see it as beneficial.
Well, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
in really every way.
Are you ever caught off guard? Or are you ever surprised at the interaction between the?
You know, it's probably not as much of a marked division as you would
As I might
say.
think. Yeah. Okay.
It's just a new family that's joined us, and we're growing together. You know, it's probably it is less of that reserve section, right? You sit here, we sit here, and now we.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've got in our mind how we're supposed to interact with you because of. I don't see that very much.
That's encouraging.
Really at all. It's hey, man, I am truly glad you're here. Let's listen to Paul talk about the law together.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I mean,
And okay, so that's interesting. I think you and I have talked enough that I know that you're not afraid of the Old Testament. I don't want it to come off this way at all. Do you find yourself, because of such a mark? I guess what I see in my mind is a marked difference, and maybe you're saying it's not as big as a deal as you really think, Chris. But do you wind up tilting or leaning into the Pauline epistles and focusing on grace?
well, for the last year and a half.
I mean,
yes,
we're
going through.
But I mean, that's Romans. I know you well enough to know that you want to treat that subject well, but it doesn't mean that when you're done with it that you'll go to Ephesians or Galatians or something. You might go back to.
Actually, we find ourselves in the Old Testament just about every week.
Right.
I mean, it's all one story.
Oh, sure.
It's all pointing to the same thing, right? It's all pointing to Christ, to our insufficiency, and to His sufficiency. So, even as this is one of the things that's amazed me as we're going through Romans slowly, which is a good thing, right? I think Romans needs to be a slow progression through that. If you don't have a good understanding of the Old Testament, you're not going to understand the New.
Right. Well, sure. Right.
And so,
no doubt.
So this is not like hey, we're a New Testament church. Some people have unhitched from the Old Testament.
Right. Right.
That's ludicrous.
Right.
Right.
Terribly dangerous.
Yes. So I think it is so very important for us to understand the history, to look at what God has done. And you don't look at the Old Testament. I mean, the danger there is you can go back to the Old Testament and you can take it all as prescriptive. Right? God did this for them, so He's going to do it for me.
Yep. These are the laws for them. These are the laws for me.
Yes.
Yep.
there's a lot of descriptive passages, not prescriptive. There's still principles and understanding, and it's all about God's character and how he's revealed himself to us and how we've denied and defied and all the things that we have done over. So you can't just set the Old Testament aside and focus on, well, this is what Paul's talking about. You know, you can't approach it with blinders on.
Right.
Because, you know, the Pauline epistles, whatever, wherever you're at, it still is so intertwined with the rest of God's word that you have to go back and look at that to have a deeper understanding of what, like Paul's even talking about, or what James is saying, or what Peter's saying. I mean,
they knew the Old Testament well enough that it's woven into their New Testament. I'm sorry.
it's assumed, right?
That's exactly right. They knew their I don't know if I said this right. They knew the Old Testament well enough that it was woven into the context of their New Testament writing.
For sure.
Right? And sometimes, especially depending upon your version, it's difficult to break apart where they're actually quoting the Old Testament. Sometimes it's really hard to see.
Yeah. Or referring, or there's inference here. Or there's
yes, they even imply it, or sometimes I've seen it where I'm like, that's not what that says. It's almost like they're riffing on the Old Testament. They're not exactly quoting it, but they're almost correcting it. Maybe they're doing it in the Septuagint version, and I'm not reading out of the Septuagint, or maybe they're reading out of the Hebrew, and I'm reading from the Septuagint.
But the principles are there.
That's absolutely right. But what I'm saying is, it's hard for us to tell sometimes when they're actually quoting or dragging from the Old Testament, especially if you're not embedded in it yourself.
Because it's part of who they are.
Yes, it's in their DNA.
But it's interesting, you notice that God continually goes back and reminds, go back to the Israelites, look at Isaiah, right? Behold, I'm going to do a new thing, right? I'll put paths in the wilderness, I'll bring rivers to the desert. And so that's one in particular that we grab and say, hey, this is prescriptive. Well, if you go a few verses before that, which, he's saying, remember me? I'm the one who brought you out of Egypt.
Right.
I'm the one who split the sea. I'm the one. He's always reminding him who he is and what he's done before he points to what he's going to do. Because how easy is it for us? I used to read the Old Testament and be like, man, those Israelites. If I were in that situation, I wouldn't have done that, right? Such a short memory,
Oh, yeah.
400 years of slavery in Egypt, and 3 days later, they're begging to go back because they missed the food.
Yep. Leeks and onions.
Yeah. Remember that free food we got? Yeah. And I just shake my head, and I'm like, oh, those poor people, right? And then I can look back at what I've forgotten God has done in my life 3 days ago.
Right.
And so I need that reminder.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I'm the Lord. I'm the one who did this and this and this. And you can look through that thread of grace. I can look back through my entire life and see that, even when I wasn't, or maybe especially when I wasn't looking for it. And so when we've got these people that are coming in from different traditions, that helps highlight that in my own life. It's an amazing thing.
I imagine it does. One more question about this, and we're going to move on to a different discussion. But I think that this is
I didn't get the list of questions beforehand. Yeah,
me either. So, we're talking about someone potentially coming out of a legalistic background, and how much the Old Testament plays into that. But it also occurs to me that in some denominations, and I'm thinking specifically of the Amish Ordnung, they've got their own list of rules that are not, they're extra biblical, right? Does that come into play? Do you ever find yourself having to kind of tease out, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Because I'm not aware of that. Even in the Old Testament, I don't know what's wrong with a chainsaw. Or do you know what I'm saying? Do you find yourself having to sort of bring people out of an extra biblical legalism, or is it pretty much just?
I can't think of a specific situation where that's been the case. You know, and not to lean on Paul all the time,
There's nothing wrong with that.
but that's where we've been for the last year and a half, right? So I think Paul's explanation of the purpose of the law and our misuse of it, our misunderstanding of it, that's been pretty sufficient.
Yeah. Well, that's like Heiser says about. Brianna was asking me the other day. So she says, Dad, I think I understand that a non-Christian can be possessed, but a Christian can only be oppressed. And I said, that's fine. I can work with the definition, but I love what Michael Heiser says about it. It really doesn't matter. The cure is the same. You get rid of the demon.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not an answer. It's the answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's not one of many fixes. There's one fix. And so I guess what you're saying is, regardless of where the legalism comes from or the rule set comes from that we're trying to put ourselves under, that yoke, that unholy yoke, the remedy is the same.
Yeah, as long as we're pointing to the answer.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ is the answer.
Right.
Period. End of report.
Yeah. Full stop.
Yeah. I mean, we have. Yeah, but you don't understand my situation. Well, we all have the same story. The details are just a little different.
Right.
So, and Paul goes to great lengths in Romans to try to explain that, right? The first whole chapter, he's talking to the Gentiles and all of their sin, and here's the litany of sin, right? Here's the punch list. You guys are doing this and this and this. And the Jewish audience would have been like, yeah, go get them, Paul. You're exactly right. They're horrible.
Yep.
And then in chapter 2, Paul says, pump the brakes a little bit because we've got a problem as Jews. We're self-righteous. We're not unrighteous like the Gentiles. We're self-righteous. And then in case anybody thinks he missed their category, in chapter 3, he's like, listen, if you're a living, breathing human being on this planet, we all share the same problem. Right. All have fallen short of the glory of God. All have sinned. Sin is our problem, period. Jesus is the solution, period.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Ministry on the Move. I've been your host, Chris McNeil. To learn more about the McNeils, you can find us on the web at mcneilmusic.com, mcneilmusic.tv, themcneilproject.com, on Facebook at The McNeils, YouTube at The McNeils. We are on all of the usual suspects. God bless you. We'll see you next time. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.